Round 5 of the 2020 Formula 1 season brings us to the Monaco Grand Prix, and coming off the back of a hectic race at Austria, there are a lot of drivers looking to make up ground on their nearest rivals in the standings. For the majority of practice, Ferrari looked to be the ones on top, with Antonio Giovinazzi having nothing but praise for how his car felt throughout the sessions, and Arriva Bene cautiously stating in the press conference that the team believe they have gotten on top of their tire issues. This sudden resurgence of confidence has come as a shock to the likes of Audi and McLaren, with members of the press suggesting Ferrari have brought major upgrades to not only their aerodynamics but engine mapping for the traction zones of Monaco. Two other teams, however, weren't as shocked and seem to have brought their own updates. Both the Haas and Jaguar cars seem to be close behind Ferrari over one-lap pace. However, Hülkenberg wasn't so sure that his car would be the same on heavier fuel. But with this being Monaco, anything is possible. Qualifying will be crucial for the race, of course, and around one flying lap, this circuit, more than any other, is all about the driver's confidence, and we could see some surprises come the end of Q3. Let's take a look now at the ever-important starting grid for the Monaco Grand Prix here in 2020. It is Antonio Giovinazzi that puts his Ferrari on pole position, well ahead of his teammate, and he'll be starting on the front row alongside Stoffel Vandoorne in the Jaguar. Very impressive qualifying for Stoffel. Kevin Magnussen in the McLaren will start from third position alongside the Haas of Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg setting an identical time to Max Verstappen in the Mercedes, who will start from fifth position, but doing it earlier in the session, of course. Carlos Sainz from the third row of the grid, quite a bit down in qualifying here at Monaco, will start from sixth position and ahead of the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo, who did manage to set an identical time to the Jaguar of aarava, but again, doing it earlier in the session gives him 7th instead of 8th. Romain Grosjean in the other Haas, getting beaten by his teammate in qualifying, will start from 9th position, while Sergio Perez, who seems to love to start from 10th position in this season, will once again start from 10th position. Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull will start from 11th position, and shockingly ahead of Sebastian Vettel, who could only manage 12th quickest during the Saturday qualifying. Mick Schumacher for the Monster Rehab team will start from 13th position, and it's an all-German 7th row with Sophia Flörsch, his teammate, starting alongside him in 14th. Nico Kari for Red Bull gets one of his better qualifying results from 15th position alongside the other Mercedes of Pascal Wehrlein, who's quite a ways off his teammate as well. Valtteri Bottas in the Renault did manage to go 17th quickest, which is seriously impressive given his teammate's time, while Leclerc in the Alfa Romeo will go 18th. Fuoco in the other Alfa Romeo will start from 19th, and the Williams cars and Alfa Romeo cars quite a ways off the pace. Lando Norris starting from 20th position, while Ocon starts from 21st, well off his teammate, and Sergio Camara from 22nd and last position.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 MyDriver Career Mode, episode number 5 today for Season 6 at the Monaco Grand Prix. One of my favourite races always to come to on the calendar, because it really just is the driver's circuit. So intense the entire race long, and the race really flies by every single time, and it usually is quite action-packed in the MyDriver universe, so looking forward to this one as we go to the formation lap. If you did miss the last episode number 4 at the Austrian Grand Prix, do go check that one out before you see this one. This is the Drivers' Championship going into this race. In the bottom right, you can see Daniel Ricciardo did extend his lead, but only by a tiny margin to me in that Grand Prix. Obviously, I had major gearbox issues at the Austrian Grand Prix, and we had a no scoring points position race there, so that was quite unfortunate for us, but we got a little bit lucky with Ricciardo's issues. You can see in general, from pretty much me down to P7, Sebastian Vettel, PA, in fact, Stoffel Vandoorne with 31 points, all very close. The gaps are very small between drivers, so it's all to play for still here at the Monaco Grand Prix, and obviously the driver can make a big difference around Monaco. And sorry to say for myself, really, but on Saturday in qualifying, Stoffel just did the better job than me. Was able to take this car much faster around this circuit. We've only qualified down in P8, as you would have seen from the qualifying report, so we're going to have to make some places in Monaco, which is easier said than done, but obviously, as usual, we'll try our best, because we're going to go straight now into 5 red lights to the Monaco Grand Prix, round number 5 of the season. 5 red lights are out, and we're underway, and it is a good getaway from us, as we're going to get the jump maybe on Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz side by side with them Three wide for a second, locking up on the left tyre a little bit down the inside of Max Verstappen. So we made an absolutely fantastic start there. 3 places taken already, overtaking Verstappen, and up ahead for the lead of the Grand Prix. There's a battle going on between Stoffel Vandoorne and Antonio Giovinazzi. Vandoorne trying his best to hang it around the outside. Doesn't quite work, so Antonio keeps P1 for now. Will be then Vandoorne. Then you got Magnussen, who did a fantastic job in qualifying and has finally woken up in this season, really, in that papaya orange McLaren Honda. Then you got Nico Hülkenberg just ahead of us, but we're up into P5 already, so that's literally the dream start for us at the Monaco Grand Prix. And Verstappen flustered into turn 1. We forced him a little bit wide, to be fair, with our lockup, actually, so that kind of was a blessing in disguise that we locked up a little bit, because that sent me wide towards his side pod, really, and helped me gain that position. But now we're going to look at the replay there, actually, because there was some action behind us that we cannot kind of overlook. So this was Nico Carey, the young Finn, in the Red Bull car, overtaking or side by side with Sophia Flores, and then, oh my dive bomb. Wow, he just made a 3-man overtake there, I think it is, going around the outside of his more senior teammate Pierre Gasly, who dives down the inside subsequently of the Haas Chevrolet car of Romain Grosjean, and Grosjean putting up a fight there, going side by side with him, and they're still going side by side as they go through the very, very tight right-hander towards the tunnel. But Nico Carey, what a dive bomb there. Obviously, we saw him make a very similar move in the first Grand Prix in his debut to the F1 series in Bahrain, and he's done the same again at Monaco. So this kid really isn't shy of making the move. So, you know, the rookie in Formula 1, that's quite a big thing to be able to pull off moves like that with such confidence and no contact really made there. And then back behind him was Sophia Flores in the Monza Rehab car, going round the outside of the Renault car. That is a very tricky place to make a move. So both rookies right now in Formula 1 doing absolute bits right now at the beginning of this Monaco Grand Prix, really showing why they should be here on the grid. So now we're going to move back onto the live action, though, away from the replay, back to the live action as we go sideways a little bit through Casino Square. And so at the moment, it's still Antonio Giovinazzi leading the way from Stoffel Vandoorne to Kevin Magnussen, Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas Chevrolet car. And then you can see we're right up the gearbox of Hülkenberg, really taking a lot of curb there and some more to try and close up right to him, getting that corner pretty damn sweet. And now we can line ourselves up maybe through the tunnel. Could we potentially maybe try a little dive outside the tunnel, the famous place where Sergio Perez made those diving moves in 2013. Here we go, pulling off the move, locking up a little bit. We're down to neutral actually, as I got so flustered at going down the gears rapidly enough in time to actually make the move, and we've made it work though through the chicane. We went side by side, we left Nico all the room in the world, and both of us really respectful of one another through that corner, that sequence of corners, and we've made a really nice pass there. And so we're up into 4th place now, and we can finally look at the back of that podium right now. So that is really, I think this has got to be one of the most perfect starts already for me in all the Monaco Grand Prix I've taken part so far in MyDriver, really, as Vandoorne sets the fast half of the Grand Prix. So Vandoorne is in second, obviously, but he's clearly chasing hard and pushing very hard to try and close up to Antonio Giovinazzi. So throughout this entire weekend, to be fair to Stoffel, he's been doing a much better job than me in the car, but hopefully we can try and join him on the podium. But meanwhile, the next lap onwards, we can see Sergio Perez, this is, or no, I think it's Carlos Sainz. It's Carlos Sainz making the move on Max Verstappen. You've got Perez, though, nearly going side by side with the other McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo, but Max Verstappen being overtaken by Carlos Sainz. So Verstappen, who did excellently to drag that Mercedes car up the grid at Monaco and really showed why he's a reigning world champion at the moment from 2019, did excellent Saturday. At the moment, the car just not giving him the pace at the moment. So he's been overtaken by Carlos Sainz, and it's not too later on in the Grand Prix, the very next lap, till he's maybe going to be overtaken by Daniel Ricciardo, because here he comes. He's going to have the slipstream down the inside of turn 1. He's going to force Verstappen a little bit wide, and Verstappen's going to have to make sure he doesn't hit the wall on the left-hand side, and he has been overtaken. So at the moment, Verstappen is dropping like an absolute fly in this Grand Prix, lap after lap, losing 1 position, and it's unfortunate to say, but it may be the same case for the very next lap, because now we see Sergio Perez in the second Audi car, this time going round the outside of Max Verstappen, goes swooping round turn 1, which is such a difficult place to make a move. But Perez goes side by side up the hill, makes it work, and then, oh, look at that, I think one of the Red Bull cars of Pierre Gasly has also got Verstappen. Yes, he has. So Verstappen's now in a Red Bull sandwich of his former team, and Verstappen is dropping so far down this grid. The Mercedes car looks like an absolute dog for pace right now at this Monaco Grand Prix. So unfortunate, because as I mentioned, he did so brilliantly to drag the car up compared to his teammate Wehrlein. And then you can see, we look further down, another person really struggling in this Grand Prix, Sebastian Vettel, the 5-time world champion in the Ferrari car, while his teammate leads the Grand Prix. Vettel floundering outside the points right now, just about hanging on to that Haas car of Grosjean, I think that is. And look at that, Carey having a look at Verstappen. Not going very well for Verstappen at the moment, you must say. We're not sure at the moment if he has any sort of issues or anything like that, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past it, because this is dramatic dropping off of pace from where he was on Saturday. But meanwhile, up at the front, you can see in the background, just at the bottom of the screen, that was Giovinazzi still in the lead from Vandoorne. You can see there closely, but followed behind is Kevin Magnussen and then myself, right up the gearbox of this McLaren. Can we try and maybe force a move through here on Magnussen, maybe towards that famous corner Raskas? You guys know I love to make a move through here. Let's see, we've lined ourselves up well. We're going to go for it down the inside, locking up on the right tyre in first gear momentarily, and that's a very, very nice move on Kevin Magnussen, and we are up into P3, so we've got some great pace here at the moment. Obviously, Vandoorne was taking purple lap times previously in this race, so we know the car's working well at the moment, and we're using that to good use, and now we're on the podium for now, but we've got a long, long way to go in this Grand Prix. Plenty of laps to go, and let's see if we can maybe now close up and use this clean air ahead of us to close up to Vandoorne and Giovinazzi and maybe get in that first place scrap. Meanwhile, back behind, you now got Verstappen being overtaken finally by the rookie Carey in the second Red Bull car, and he's up the order now. He can try and chase after his teammate Gasly, and then meanwhile up the hill still the misery does not end here for the Dutchman. You got round the outside goes Romain Grosjean, down the inside of Casino Square. You got Sebastian Vettel also trying to sniff down the inside of the gearbox of that Mercedes car, closely followed by the two monster rehab cars. Pascal Wehrlein having a completely quiet race right now at the moment. We haven't even seen where his car is. I think he's behind. I think he's in a Renault sandwich at the moment. So the Mercedes car, both Mercedes cars clearly have issues at the moment. We don't know what they are exactly, but they're clearly not working very well. I don't know if it's maybe the same sort of issue McLaren had last season. You remember in 2019, so many times we saw at the beginning of Grand Prix, McLaren would have electrical faults, which meant their cars would go way down the order, nearly to last place in the Grand Prix sometimes. But now we've moved on back to this top fight. You can see Giovinazzi still trailing Vandoorne very closely behind. But anyway, on lap 9, behind them is us, and we're coming into the pits a little bit earlier than those two, because meanwhile, while those two are basically, Vandoorne sitting in the dirty air of Giovinazzi's probably obviously looking in the mirrors of Vandoorne left, right and centre to try and defend. I just think it's time for a pit stop, really. It's a good time for a pit stop, get a bit of an undercut potentially. Hopefully, I'm hoping we come out in some clean air. Let's have a look here as we come out. Yeah, the track looks pretty damn clear to me here on the right-hand side. So as you go down the little pit exit there, going to cut turn 1, obviously, as the Monaco pit lane does exit off there. And we are ahead of Nico Carey, the second Red Bull car. And we've got a lot of clean air ahead of us. So we can really start to use these super soft tyres to really good use, get the hammer down and see what we can do on Vandoorne and Giovinazzi. But now we take a look at a replay. We're on board with Verstappen. Now we're on board with Sebastian Vettel chasing down very closely into Mirabeau. There's a big lock up there. And Verstappen's hit the wall, and is he out of the Grand Prix? I can't be sure. No, he's going to reverse. He's not out of this Grand Prix, but he's had major brake issues there, and I wonder, is that potentially what's going on here? Do both Mercedes cars have brake issues, and they just can't have any confidence on the brakes? Because Verstappen, that's a very odd thing to do, just, completely lock up and go straight on there. Obviously, the famous place where Nico Rosberg went off in 2014 in qualifying, off onto the escape road. Unfortunately for Verstappen, he goes straight into the wall. So I don't know, maybe that's it. Maybe we've solved the issue here at Monaco. Maybe that's what's happening to Mercedes right now. Obviously Verstappen went well in qualifying. Maybe right now in the race, both of them suffering brake issues. That potentially could be it. But now we move on, looking down the order. You can see up ahead of us is Gasly chasing down one of the Audi cars, and then a little bit further up ahead of him, a little bit of no man's land really, is Daniel Ricciardo. Obviously he overtook Verstappen, but then Verstappen obviously went down the order with a brake issue, so he's kind of by himself on track. Then up ahead of him is Carlos Sainz, who's now closing up on Nico Hülkenberg, who so far has been doing a great job in P4. That'll be all around P5, but Sainz is now chasing after him and may overtake him soon enough with the power of that Audi engine. Obviously, Audi this year, the engine power's gone down a little bit relative to every other team, as teams have caught up over the winter, but they're still going to have that little speed advantage down the main straight, so they could use that to good advantage to maybe try and overtake. Then up ahead is obviously Magnussen, and then a nice overhead shot here of Vandoorne still chasing after Giovinazzi and doing quite well to still stay this close to Giovinazzi, because it would be quite easy to maybe get hindered by so much hot, dirty air behind this Ferrari car. But no, he's stuck with it, and there's pretty much been this same gap of about less than 1 second for the entire Grand Prix. But now we move on back to our POV onto lap 12. This will be 2 laps later. Now you can see we set a purple first sector, and as I mentioned, we're using these super softs to good use. Gasly on super softs ahead of us, yet to pit in this Grand Prix, and he starts on that set of super softs because obviously you remember he was outside the top 10, so he can can start on whatever tyres he wants. So he's still doing really well, actually, to be fair to him, to stay on the back of Sergio Perez here. But now can we try and spoil the party, potentially, of our former teammate from Red Bull in Season 4 and try and overtake him, closing right up to him through that chicane as we go now towards that swing pool section. Tricky right-hander, just about navigating that in 4th gear. Flat out through here, teammate in the pits. So Vandoorne pitting. Let's see where we're going to come out relative to him. I wonder if we've got enough of an undercut to maybe overtake him. Let's see. But first of all, we'll have to try and overtake Pierre Gasly. We get the traction out of Raskas through the final corner, down the inside. We're up into P7. Great little overtake there to now get on the back of Sergio Perez. But now I think we have another gearbox issue. I think you could just see on the right corner, I think we missed a gear through 5th to 7th.
Really sorry, mate, but we've lost 6th gear. Chassis default 701, please. Same issue as Austria, but we think we can isolate the issue to higher gears.
Are you joking me? Honestly, guys, it's just so silly. Bloody push bike could have a better gearbox than our car.
Yes, I know. I'm really sorry again, Arif. Not much we can do there, mate.
Yeah, of course.
So for a 3rd time now in a row, we have got a gearbox issue. We've got a missing gear. Thankfully for us here at Monaco, 6th gear may not be the worst gear to have lost. I mean, if I lose something from 5th to 1st, that would be a real issue here, and we're actually catching still and keeping up with Sergio Perez, so I don't think it will be an issue. We get a great drive off that swing pool chicane, trying to go around the outside of Raskas. Very unusual place to make the move, but we do the switchback down the inside now, the final corner, and a similar move like the one we made on Gasly. Now, speaking of Gasly now has a pop at Sergio Perez and uses the fact that I slowed Perez down through the final corner to maybe make that overtake, and he has done, because on the top left you can see he's up there in 6th place now, so Gasly cheekily using me to help him there to make that move. And on lap 14, the very next lap, we're closing up to Daniel Ricciardo now on the very next lap, so the pace is pretty decent right now, even though we've got that missing 6th gear. So as I mentioned, you know, the fact that we're only probably using those higher gears on this main straight, on the run up the hill, you know, it's not affecting us too much, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the message our engineer gave us that he can isolate the issue to the higher gears will come true. Otherwise, we may be a bit more screwed later on the Grand Prix. But on lap 15 now, through the tunnel, getting the pace on Ricciardo, going to dive it down the inside, very close. Late lunge here, 1st gear, leaving the room. Ricciardo actually cuts the corner a little bit there through the chicane, and we make the pass on the exit of the chicane, and we're up the order. So actually, we've got some really decent pace still, and actually, this may not be an issue at all for us. We can probably live with this for now. As I said, we're just kind of hoping and praying that it doesn't go as it has done in Austria and as it did in Hungary. Both times the gearbox issue made its way down to lower gears, but for now we're good. But Ricciardo makes a pit stop there, and actually now we didn't notice this in the Grand Prix yet until now, but there is Stoffel Vandoorne and there is Antonio Giovinazzi. Vandoorne's behind us through turn 1, behind Pierre Gasly, and there goes Giovinazzi coming out the pit lane behind Vandoorne. So not only have I jumped these two, Vandoorne's managed to jump Giovinazzi. So right now, it is a net 1-2 for Jaguar Racing. Absolutely amazing stuff. And that is absolutely bonkers right now, that with the gearbox issue, I'm leading the Monaco Grand Prix effectively once everyone makes their pit stops. And Pierre Gasly at the moment, this is Nico Carey, sorry, at the moment leading the way from one of the Haas cars to the other Audi car. I think this is Carlos Sainz behind Nico Hulkenberg, I think I want to say. I just can't make out the helmet quite. And then behind them, you still got Sebastian Vettel, really struggling right now. He's in a bit of no man's land, to be fair to him, ahead of this little train of one of the monster rehab cars of, I think that was Sophia Flores. And then you've got the Renault car ahead of one of the Mercedes cars, Valtteri Bottas in the Renault car, doing a fabulous job at the moment, who's ahead of Pascal Wehrlein in the monster Mercedes car. And then behind him, you've got Daniel Ricciardo, who obviously was fighting in the top 7 and has made his first pit stop, so he's really got a little bit unlucky there as Bottas does pit, but Ricciardo a little bit unlucky to be in a bit of traffic here behind Wehrlein. He's got DRS wide open. Will he have enough speed to make the move into turn 1? I don't think it will be. So for now, Ricciardo probably a little bit annoyed at his engineers that they haven't been able to find some clean room, unlike ourselves. Obviously, we found some beautiful clean room, and so now we move on to lap 17 on board with us, and we're still leading the way from Stoffel Vandoorne, who is right behind Pierre Gasly at the moment, trying to chase down. There's been an issue though for Gasly. Oh, he's got a puncher. Oh, he's into the wall in turn 1. It's a big impact there for Gasly. Is he out of the Grand Prix? I think he's trying to get on with the Grand Prix, but I think his tyres, or his entire kind of front of his front right, completely banged in there. Very odd crash. That's not even like a normal puncher. It's almost like his entire tyre carcass has just gone completely AWOL. And there you go, looking at the replay, oh, slams into the wall. And on board with Vandoorne, it's actually even more dramatic looking affair, because look at that kind of puff of black smoke, or I guess that was the tyre coming off, really. Very odd thing to witness there. So big impact for Gasly, and he's I think he's out of this Grand Prix, or potentially at least way down the order, obviously. And now you can see a lock up there from Pasco Wehrlein. He's been pressurised by Ricciardo later on in the Grand Prix, and Ricciardo's finally got past Wehrlein, so he's probably screaming into his helmet at the moment. So happy he's finally got past Wehrlein, because now he's finally in some clean air for himself, and Wehrlein has to recompose himself. But again, there you go, Wehrlein locking up there. I think that probably confirms to us that there definitely is a brake issue for the Mercedes car as a whole.
Aarava, please don't defend hard if Stoffel tries to pass. He can go a lot faster right now, and we think we might need an extra stop later.
Of course he is. He can compete with a full set of gears at least.
So at the moment, as you can hear from the team radio, we're under pressure from our teammate Vandoorne. It's now lap 23, so it's been about 5-6 laps since we last saw our own POV after the Gasly incident into turn 1. And Vandoorne and Giovinazzi both have been catching us rapidly at that time. And Vandoorne may just get a little bit impatient as he goes toward the brake zone after the tunnel. He's going to make the move around the outside. We lock up defending on the inside. He forces his way through down the inside of the exit of that chicane towards the next right-hand. He'll have the outside line. I'm going to have to brake to make sure I don't make any contact and just keep this through. Obviously, as the team say, we're teammates. Don't want him. I don't want to hold him up, but also I wanted to try and defend as best I could, but I honestly just couldn't. There was no way I could keep it side by side through that tight left-hander. There's just no way two F1 cars make it through there without there being any contact whatsoever. So now, as you can see, losing the back end, I'm now in second place, and now I'm a little bit peeved off. I've got the bit between my teeth, and I want to try and re-catch Vandoorne on the end of lap 24. We do get right up his gearbox, so actually surprisingly, after he overtook us, the next lap or two, it seemed like he lost some pace, to be fair.
Okay, Aarava, Stoffel has a missing gear issue now, similar to you. He's missing fourth gear. He'll be slow out of the traction zones. Let's get him back. You're both free to race, but let's be clever here. Both of you now have to nurse these cars home. It's very important.
Hallelujah.
Well, so now we've got some confirmation there from our engineer. The reason why maybe closing back up to Stoffel is because he does have an issue, and if we look at a replay from the previous lap through the tunnel, you can see there he did actually miss fourth gear, which is the much more crucial gear to be missing around a street circuit like Monaco versus any higher gears above fifth gear, really. So I think we can really use this to our advantage, and we may do so straight away on lap 25 now through Raskas, getting good exit, and once again making a move through the final corner, although this time I leave Vandoorne a bit more room than I maybe have done to any driver in the past. We go side by side down the main straight. It's going to be very, very close into turn 1. I think Vandoorne will just about have it, because of course down towards turn 1 in those higher gears, just as you get to the brake zone, obviously then he'll get the advantage back as he'll have the 6th or 7th gear to use. But we just have to keep the pressure on at the moment. I feel like eventually we will be able to get Vandoorne, because obviously at this point in the Grand Prix I'm a lot more used to driving around Monaco without a missing gear versus him. He's just had the issue right now. So as he moved later onto the Grand Prix through this amazing epic shot there through the chicane, I love that. It's such an iconic shot of Monaco, and we're chasing after Vandoorne still. Giovinazzi still there in third place. Vandoorne is going to make his second pit stop of the Grand Prix, as my engineer mentioned. He said Vandoorne may be making an extra pit stop, and to be fair, I think we are going to have to make an extra pit stop. The question is, will that man behind us, Giovinazzi, be making an extra pit stop? We'll have to see, but at the moment Vandoorne does come into the pit, so we're up into first place. Giovinazzi second. Vandoorne straps on a set of ultra soft tyres, so let's see where he comes out. Will he get some clean air? Let's see. I think that's one of the McLaren cars coming down the pit lane. I think it may be Daniel Ricciardo through turn 1. This can be very, very close, actually. Vandoorne comes out just behind Daniel Ricciardo, and that may be very, very crucial, because as we continue on, Ricciardo may hold up Vandoorne enough that I can get ahead of Vandoorne, so we're going to have to see how that works out behind them. Nico Hulkenberg chasing Carlos Sainz close behind, but it's all hotting up now at the Monaco Grand Prix, because with 10 laps to go now, lap 29, the next lap, I'm going to pit. I'm going to cover off Vandoorne here because I need to, because I don't know about Giovinazzi, but I know Vandoorne's pit, and obviously he's going to be a bit faster towards the end of the Grand Prix with the ultra softs, and I can definitely get him here if I can make this pit stop and jump him basically with the overcut. He's going to be held up by Ricciardo, so it is a gamble, but my tyres can go the distance. You would have seen just before then, after I'd been overtaken by Vandoorne and I tried to overtake him, you would have seen on the right hand side my tyres were very worn, so there was no way I was taking those super softs the distance in the race. And as we come out of the pits, we just get ahead of Stoffel Stoffel Vandoorne, we are also behind Ricciardo, just like he was, but at least we are ahead of Vandoorne. And unlike Vandoorne, I think I'm probably a bit more confident at overtaking Ricciardo. I've already done it once in this Grand Prix, and hopefully we can do it again. But Ricciardo seemingly is putting up a big fight. He goes quite slow through that corner, so I think he's doing his best to kind of just hamper both our races. Obviously, Ricciardo's leading the championship. It's in his best interest to basically make his car as wide as possible throughout the rest of this Grand Prix, basically to hold us up, but I'm not having any of it, and I think I can probably get him in the next lap or so. Hopefully, as we go through the tunnel, maybe can we get enough momentum to maybe dive it down the inside like we did previously? No, I had a little bit of a think, not gonna lie, but we're gonna have to stick behind, just keep on the pressure here through this next lap, and maybe we could get him in the next sector. We have another little look on the left-hand side there in the brake zone, but as we go through the swimming pool section, I'm thinking maybe we can size up the same move I did on Kevin Magnussen, his teammate, obviously. So here we go towards Raskas. Do I dare? Yes, I do. Down the inside, lock up on the right, and we have done it. That is a textbook move there through Raskas, through the final corner, and we've made the pass. And now Vandoorne is going to be stuck behind Ricciardo, and I'm hoping for the sake of the team at least he can get past Ricciardo, because both of us then can have a charge at the top flight. Obviously, I think it's Kevin Magnussen in second place, Carlos Sainz in third potentially, with obviously Hülkenberg close behind, then Giovinazzi leading the way. But we'll have to see. Obviously, if Vandoorne does get past Ricciardo, that equally could be bad for me, because then Stoffel could close up to me once again. But as we move on to lap 32, you can see in the top left, Ricciardo's still in fifth place, so Vandoorne's still unable to get past him. So it's been 3 laps now, and he's unable to get past him. So I really think Ricciardo pulling out the real dirty tactics, really going as wide as possible. He tried his best to block me, but obviously he wasn't expecting maybe a pass down the inside of Raskas. But maybe Stoffel's not going to be as aggressive on the move, but hopefully eventually he can make that pass. But right now, with what is now 7 laps to go, just about there, we're setting purple lap times, and right now I'm in the absolute groove of this lap, pushing as hard as we can. The rest of them are all on super soft, so I'm pushing flat out to try and catch these top 3 guys. And through the final corner, you can see dancing through the final corner, a little squirt of the throttle, literally drifted through the final corner, and we're going to set the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Absolutely on it like a car bonnet at the moment. I'm completely connected to the Monaco Grand Prix, and that lap was an absolutely sweet lap. And so now as we move on from lap 33, 7 laps to go in this Grand Prix, eventually Vandoorne will try and find the speed to get this move done, with DRS wide open here as they go on to lap 35. I think this will be Ricciardo locks up Vandoorne down the inside. He's able to finally make this move, but as I mentioned, it was very, Ricciardo tried his hardest to basically be the biggest pain in the arse to both of us. Obviously, I got past him very, very quickly, but it took Vandoorne quite a fair bit, and that really did hinder him, because I think the gap was then about 10 seconds or something like that to Vandoorne, to me, basically. That's how much time I was able to gain after Vandoorne was held up, because Ricciardo was just going like a snail, because he's making the one-stop. He's trying to make the one-stop work, I think that will be for him. So, it's just very unfortunate for Vandoorne, obviously, because he had so much pace earlier on in the Grand Prix, and it looked like at one stage definitely could have been in to win this. And yeah, it's just unfortunate really. But as we move on now through the Grand Prix, just looking down the order, that was Bottas you would have seen there. We looked quite closely at him. He's actually, I think, on the tail end of the points here, along with Sophia Flörsch and Pascal Wehrlein. And then you got right behind them Nico Carey, who's in 11th place, trying to maybe overtake Wehrlein. So at the moment, Bottas doing a stunning job yet again to get that Renault in the points, and the same for Carey potentially to try and get his first points in Formula 1, who finds himself right behind Wehrlein. But now back to our POV finally on lap 37 now. So as we cross the line on towards lap 38 on the next lap, we've got 2 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and there you could see, maybe in the mini-map, definitely can see now, Carlos Sainz has made a late pit stop there. So dramas for the Audi guys, they've really bottled that. They've made a late pit stop with 2 laps to go, and so we're up into 3rd place, back onto the podium. And so now, could we get 2nd place? Magnussen only up the road now, so with 1.5 laps to go, can we get 2nd place? I think 1st place is out of the question, unfortunately. Giovinazzi has had some brilliant tyre wear, which is surprising to say, because that's been Ferrari's biggest flaw so far this season. So maybe Arriva Bene's hard work and the Ferrari team's hard work has finally paid off for them, because they've done the one stop with the super soft tyres, whereas me and Stoffel definitely couldn't have taken those super soft to the end here. But we're now well into the last lap of the Grand Prix, and I can still see that 2nd place just up ahead of me in the form of Magnussen. So I'm really hoping that we can get him somewhere on this lap, because this will be a great recovery from making it a whole extra pit stop here at Monaco to get back into 2nd place. We've got the pace. I just need to find the place to actually make the move, obviously. that's just the classic problem here at Monaco. You just don't know when to make the move, where to make it. You need to have, the max confidence and the grip to make it in a corner. I don't know. At the moment, Magnussen doing a great defensive effort here through that chicane after the tunnel, so it may have to wait. I'm going to have supreme confidence here if I want to make this move now, because we've only got a finite amount of corners left through swimming pool, locking up a little bit, but having a good exit there. Can we maybe try something into Raskas? Doesn't look like it. I had a little look, not going to lie, but now through the final corner, we have got the drive. We're going to have to go for it. He's sent wide a little bit. He's not turned in on us, and we go through the final corner. Open DRS. Antonio Giovinazzi wins the Monaco Grand Prix for Ferrari, and they finally get their first win, but we come home for a sensational second place. I think that is a very, very hard-earned and well-earned second place there, if I do say so myself. But Antonio Giovinazzi, the Italian, finally gets a win here in this season, gets the first win for Ferrari. And Ferrari, it's been a long time coming for them. They've had such a fast car, but their tyre weigh has been appalling, and their strategy has been appalling. But so far now, here at the Monaco Grand Prix, it's pulled out for them, and they finally got that elusive win there. But I am very, very satisfied with the second place here. With a gearbox issue again here at Monaco, I couldn't be any happier. That's been a great driver, if I had to say so myself. So, and Kevin Magnussen also, I mean, the man I just overtook, bouncing back after such a poor start to the season to grab the podium over Ricciardo, who really struggled in this race and finishes down in 6th place. So it's been a very hectic one for everyone. Also, Giovinazzi, obviously, how could I forget just the winner itself, stepping up to the plate, and his teammate Vettel out to the points, seemingly really struggling just with traffic and everything. Yeah, very, very hectic Monaco Grand Prix. So, guys, if you have enjoyed that, smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll cut away to the post-race questions. Goodbye.
Well, what a finish that was for you, Arab, to grab the second step of the podium on the last corner like that. You've got to be pretty thrilled.
Yeah. It's a pretty great way to end a pretty tough Grand Prix, to be fair. We had the pace all weekend. I think Stoffel showed that in the car, and obviously it was unfortunate with what happened in the race as a whole. But yeah, I'm super thrilled to be back on the podium after such a disappointing race, obviously last time out in Austria. And yeah, to do it in that sort of style, catching Magnussen and Sainz the entire last stint was a lot of fun, especially when the car was so hooked up. Pretty damn thrilled.
Of course, as you just mentioned, you lost out on the win, which did seem very much in the hands of either you or Stoffel earlier in the race. Did you guys as a team just get the strategy wrong today?
I think in a way, yes, but also it may have been out of our hands in terms of this was going to happen the entire time in terms of the strategy. I mean, obviously, reliability issues aside, on the strategy side of things, we thought Ferrari would be a lot poorer on the tyre wear, and they've pulled it out of the bag. With Antonio going so long on the super softs, we just couldn't match it. There was no way I could take the super softs that long. Stoffel clearly thought the same thing, and they pit a little bit earlier than us. So I think in a way, perhaps we should, if we didn't have reliability issues and we were in different positions, perhaps we could have tried something differently to at least maybe get one of us on the top step. But on pure pace, we're probably the fastest car out there. But obviously, as we saw earlier this season, it's you also got to do the job on the tyre wears, and I think Ferrari were just too strong for us today.
And finally, as we understand, you once again had a missing gear for most of that race, and as well, Stoffel's car did too. Last time in Austria, you said you were really hoping for a solution coming into Monaco. Is this now crisis time for the team?
I think it's a tough one because it didn't affect us too much. I mean, we still got second place in the end, and Stoffel was still able to get a pretty decent result. We got lucky on the gear we lost. I think Stoffel got a little bit worse off, but he was still able to kind of drive around it, I guess. If we hadn't have lost that gear, one could kind of argue, I don't know, maybe Stoffel would have been well ahead of Giovinazzi, and maybe I would have been a lot closer to those two. So by the time we ended the race, maybe our two-stop could have worked. And, if I didn't have those issues, perhaps I could have been overtaking Giovinazzi into the last corner for the win of the race. So, yeah, taking all things into account, I think it's still a major issue. And the team assured me that they were trying their best, but during the race, it was very, very frustrating to say the least. Next race we should have a new part for it. We should have a new gearbox, like a brand new designed one, to solve the issue. If it's not there, then I mean that's going to be a major crisis. Then All
right, thanks for your time.
All right, cheers, thanks.